Hi guys, my name is Rosa I. Evans. I'm the owner and founder of Trident Creative Media, a branding, social media, and marketing agency. And today I wanted to switch things up and give you an inside look into our latest family vacation. We just spent an entire week in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, traveling between Rincon and San Juan, seeing the beach and some of the sites that Puerto Rico has to offer. Before we decided where we wanted to take our family vacation, my husband did a lot of research and we had questions, of course, post-pandemic, what to expect, is it safe, etc. So we decided to put this little vlog together with tips to help you plan your next trip if you decide that Puerto Rico is the destination for your next family vacation. So here we go. Quiero yo hacerte el amor en la cama, porque tú sabes que tú eres mi dama. The first thing that you want to note is that as of July 2021, before you board, you do need to get a COVID test if you have not been vaccinated, no more than 72 hours prior to arriving. You also need to go to the Puerto Rico Health Department's website and fill out a travel declaration form. The link is below. When they email you, I would make sure that I screenshot the QR code that is sent to you because Wi-Fi was spotty and you will not be allowed to leave the airport without being checked in and that QR code presented. Masks are still required across the island, including everywhere in the airport and across restaurants, etc. So make sure that you have those. Flew out early Friday morning. We got up at 2:30 in the morning to be at the airport at 3:30, and our flight took off at 6:30, and we arrived in Miami with the layover, and then finally arrived at Puerto Rico at 2:30 in the afternoon. After arriving, getting our bags, and going through airport COVID scan ports, where we had to present our QR codes from the travel declaration form, we picked up our rental car and headed out to Rincon to spend our first 3 days in Puerto Rico. It's a small town on the west coast known for its beaches and surfing, and we decided to spend it there so that we could enjoy the weekend in a less crowded place. On the map, it shows to be a 95-mile drive from the airport, or about 2 hours, but with the traffic being so heavy, it actually took us about 3.5 hours to arrive. My youngest was passed out because she was so excited for the trip that she hadn't slept all night and was still up at 2:30 when we got up. The further we moved away from San Juan and closer to Rincon, the narrower the highways got. So the closer we got to Rincon, there was no shoulders on the highway and a lot of winding, curvy roads, making the drive even longer because we kept having to slow down with oncoming traffic. But overall, the ride was pleasant because of the scenery, and it's a new experience, so just be prepared that whatever the time says on the map, give yourself a little bit extra time because the traffic is slower and it's heavy, and it's probably going to take you longer than you anticipated. First arrived, our Airbnb was confusing to find because everything is so close together, and Google Maps or Apple Maps, the street names don't always match the street signs, so we did have to maneuver and drive around a couple of times to find our Airbnb. Once we finally got to our Airbnb, it was pretty late, so we decided to drop off our bags and then set out to walk the downtown area. This area is lined up with shop after shop with a mix of restaurants and retail locations. Another tip is to make sure that you actually have reservations. Most of the places that we tried to go to required reservations, and we had a little bit of a difficult time finding a place for families this late that wasn't a bar or that was still open and not requiring reservations. But after walking around for a bit, we found an establishment that could accommodate us. It was Bob's Deli and Bistro. It was pretty good. They had a live band and a great menu. They had live music, and the wait staff was extremely attentive and helped us select our dinner.
Are you relaxing?
No.
You're too long for this. Like, huh?
Ah, what you doing, girl? Don't be doing that.
You're gonna knock him off. Jordan.
Second day, we woke up early to find breakfast, and we walked around the plaza again. Of course, there's a lot of shops and restaurants and places to eat, but we found a little small kiosk set up in front of one of the grocery stores that offers coffees and pastries, breakfast sandwich, etc. After that, we decided to walk around and look for the beach access. We walked about 5 minutes and found the Balneario of Rincon, which is an easy walking distance from our Airbnb. It was pretty empty this early in the morning, which was nice. There was just a few people playing drums on the boardwalk, and of course the beaches were beautiful. One quick note is that the beach has public restrooms, but we quickly discovered that they don't stock toilet paper, so make sure that you bring your own. It also has a small bar area that serves beer, soft drinks, pizza, and other Puerto Rican favorites. After we walked around a bit, we headed back to our Airbnb and got our beach stuff together and headed back to the beach in our car because we had a cooler and other stuff. But there are parking spots, but they filled up pretty quickly, so make sure that you probably want to get there a little bit early. We spent most of the afternoon there. It was nice and sunny with an occasional cloud cover. And like I mentioned, you can bring your own coolers, which we did, but we also tried the little bar area to get cooler soft drinks, and of course my husband wanted some beer. And we tried some of their food, which we tried the empanadillas. I forgot to get pictures, but they were great. We spent most of the afternoon here and then had dinner after we went back and got dressed at one of the local food trucks, which there are a lot around the island. We ended our first day in Rincon by visiting the lighthouse, Faro, Punta, Higüeras. And the boardwalk area is the perfect place to view the sunset over the water. It was beautiful. They have a little bar area where you can pick up pina coladas or even some virgin pina coladas, which I enjoyed. Our second day on Sunday, we decided to actually travel to San Sebastian and visit the waterfalls, which are called Cascada, Gozalandia. It showed on the map to be about 22 miles away from Rincon, which is a 40-minute drive according to Google, but based on our experience from Friday, we decided to leave a little bit early just in case. Not get stuck in traffic. The scenery is beautiful, but we did have a bit of difficulty finding the spot. You have to drive up the mountainside with these narrow, winding roads that barely leave enough room for one car. And then again, there's no shoulders. We had rented a small Nissan Kicks, and of course has no four-wheel drive, so each time that we had to go up a steep hill, it felt like it was going to leave us stranded. But that was a bit unnerving. And to note, if you're using Google Maps or Apple Maps and the street signs are not always visible. I didn't see a whole lot of them, so they didn't always match. And we missed our exit a few times and had to actually stop at a local gas station and ask for directions. Once we did that, the entrance to the waterfall was a little bit easier, but we missed it initially because there's a sign there, but it says private. So we thought, well, maybe it's a little bit further ahead, and had to backtrack. The parking is $10, and the parking lot was pretty small, so it gets full quickly. But once we did park, there's a short walk to the entrance, which takes you down to a short trail, and then some long steps down to the actual waterfall area. The steps are pretty steep and slippery because it's, raining and there's moss growing on them. But, make sure that you wear some good, comfortable shoes. Flip-flops are probably not ideal for walking down. When we finally got there, the area is beautiful. It's breathtaking. It's, in the trees, and the waterfall is cascading down toward the base of the river. And near the base of the waterfall, it is a little bit deeper, so we didn't go into that area. Plus, it was pretty crowded there. But they do have ropes that allow you to climb up to the waterfall. If you're a daredevil and you want to jump into the water, of course, you can do that. Downstream, the water runs a little more shallow, and there's plenty of areas to sit and wade. Well, at least there was on Sunday. It was a little bit crowded, but not too crowded. And of course, want to make sure that you wear some water shoes because, of course, it is slippery. And I actually fell flat on my back trying to walk across the mossy wet rock a couple of times. We ended up spending a few hours there and then headed back to find a place for lunch. And within, About 30 minutes after we had actually left there, it started pouring and we had to park for a bit, but we were able to make it and move on. On Monday, we headed back early to San Juan, and this time the trip was a little bit easier. There was a little traffic here and there, but of course the scenery, it makes it nice. And we spent the rest of the week at the Marriott Bonvoy Resort and Casino. Our check-in time was not till 4, so we just had a few hours to explore Old San Juan. And we toured the Castillo de San Cristobal. Admission is $10 per person, and of course 12 and under are free. If you purchase a ticket, it gives you access to both fortresses on the island. It's Castillo San Felipe del Morro as well, and the one that we visited. Both of these will give you access, and make sure you keep your tickets, because we toured one of them and decided to tour the other the next day, but lost the tickets and we only ended up seeing San Juan Cristobal. Visiting the old San Juan area is really a must. There's so much to see. The streets are lined with shops and eating establishments. You really need more than one day to see it all, because there's a lot of walking. Be prepared to walk a lot. And some of the streets are steep, of course, in typical San Juan, but the streets are narrow and crowded, so maneuvering with a vehicle is probably not the best. Parking is very limited, even though there are several parking garages in the area. We spent a few hours walking around, and one thing that you might want to note is that the bathrooms are not available for, customers in most stores. So you might want to try some of the chain stores or fast food restaurants for bathroom access. There's also a restroom access in the forts themselves. After checking into our hotel, we rested a bit and then headed to the private beach access pool area. The area is next to the airport, so you can hear the planes taking off and landing, but the beach is beautiful with clean sand and this beautiful turquoise blue tropical water. The fact that it's on a private access from the resort was a plus because it wasn't crowded at all. The only downside that we found was the pool area, not because of the amenities or the features, because it was nice and not crowded, there's plenty of seating, but the no-see-ums. These are these little pesky bugs that you cannot see and they will just tear you up. And of course, we didn't know about that. So the first day we got there, my husband and I were sitting by the beach, or by the pool, and just kept getting bitten up. The next day we discovered that they have signs posted everywhere and they offer bug spray. But days later, when we got home, we were still itching and scratching. So quick tip, make sure that you bring bug spray, and because they're pretty bad. Another tip that you want to take into consideration is that we planned on spending some of our days taking the ferry to Culebra and participating in other activities, but we didn't book tours or the ferry prior to arriving, so everything was sold out. We really couldn't find any available tickets that would accommodate all of us for the activities that we wanted to do, like horseback riding or visiting the bioluminescent bay, taking a ferry to Culebra, etc. So we actually just spent the next 2 days shopping along the strip, and then again to visit Old San Juan, spending the day at the beach and at the pool. Overall, we had a great experience. We spent 3 nights in Rincon and 3 nights in San Juan, and there's still so much to explore. The scenery is beautiful, and the area, of course, is still recovering from the impact of Hurricane Maria. So many of the buildings are still abandoned or in need of repair, but some things that would probably take time to get used to for us is the narrow streets, of course, and the lack of parking, and cars just, as you're driving, will just pull out in front of you. Of course, as a family, one concern was that there's no crosswalks, but it was a great place for our family to spend time together and experience another culture. We discovered some new food loves and an opportunity to just relax and unwind, and we really can't wait to go back and explore some more. So to recap, I hope that you enjoyed our video blog with our vacation. I apologize about some of the shaky video. I had just bought a new gimbal and I didn't calibrate it correctly. So either way, the vacation was wonderful. We can't wait to go back. The scenery was beautiful, and I hope that some of these tips will help you if you decide that Puerto Rico is the place for your next family destination. So to recap, bring a mask. They're required across the island as of July 2021. Most restaurants do accept credit cards, but some of the street vendors and kiosks, we had to have cash, parking, etc. So you do want to bring cash. There are ATMs available, but travel with cash anyways. Other general tips that we wish we would have known is the no-see-ums are crazy. If you're staying at a resort with a pool by the beach, especially in San Juan, the no-see-ums are no joke. They do provide bug spray at the resort, but we didn't see that or know that until after we were bitten up the first day. So bring bug spray. pack an extra carry-on or leave some empty space in your luggage just in case, or I'm pretty sure that you'll want to bring back souvenirs, but we ended up having to buy an extra bag just to pack our souvenirs in because there's a 50-pound weight limit at the airport for checking in luggage. So leave some space. If you're traveling with small kids, just note that we didn't see a single crosswalk anywhere. If you wanted to cross the street, you just stuck your foot out there and cars would stop. So a note, if you're traveling with smaller children, the crosswalks don't exist that we saw in San Juan, and parking is limited. So we did find a parking spot in the parking garage at Old San Juan, but a lot of locations you'll be walking a lot, so bring some good walking shoes. Most locations that we visited at a restaurant don't have a menu available. Everything is a scanned in QR code with the menu that pops up via website, so just look for that. And you know, the island is beautiful, but just know that everything is in Spanish, so if you're not fluent in your Spanish skills, this might be a time to brush up and learn, you know, at least some basic terminology. Most of the people do speak English, but primarily the signs, etc., everything is in Spanish. So also, the last tip that I wanted to make sure that you remember is if you're planning on seeing some of the sites, taking some of the tours or some excursions, book those things early. We did not leave ourselves enough time or book a lot of these early enough, so by the time we got there, everything was booked. And there's a lot to see, so we definitely plan on going back and booking some of those things early, booking a flight to Calabria, or not a flight, but a ferry, so that we can actually see the island and some of the other, you know, horseback riding or the bioluminescent bay, etc. Book those things early so that you make sure that you have enough time to be able to see those things. Until next time, bye.